very realistic makeup is so hard to pull off. One of the hardest makeups because it is real, and you can reference that. You can go, okay, this just doesn't look right. I've seen many human faces, but if you look at a zombie or a creature, you're like, well, those things don't really exist, so it can be anything. It can be any kind of skin tone, it can be any kind of decay. So it's a lot easier to embellish on those designs. But the human face is always hard. So when I teach, I usually teach just anatomy and the human face, human structure. So with design, you always want to go human, like human first. So humanoid or hybrid characters. So to start off with human design is just basically we coat with the clay, basic cheekbone. You can always keep it light. You always want to start out light because the lighter is you're going to have more movement with your actual sculpting. And this is talking about when you get into prosthetics, foam or silicone. So you always want to go light and then build up. And with sculpting, a lot of times I've seen people who are just getting into it. Like I said, we'll just start building up a lot, going clay on it. But I always start from the middle out. So I would start with the nose and then move outward, cheekbones, brow, and then move out. And you always want to keep your edges very thin. And we'll talk about that when we start putting the clay on. But for right now, design, we always start with the human form. And then from there, it's basically adding on and building up, depending on your own design of the character. And for me, personally, I delve in the horror or fantasy realm. So I go for zombies or skeletal structure, different degrees of decay for zombies, or some, I like to call them abominations because you don't really know what you're visually looking at. Like xenomorphic, the fear of the unknown. And I think it's more, for me, that's the joy of creating characters that I create because it causes an emotional response or a disturbing feeling through the viewer looking at your personal makeup. And so I like to keep it unknown. And it's very primitive because at the beginning of time, cavemen have always been afraid of the big cat in the cave, the big saber-toothed tiger, the teeth in the dark, and the eyes glaring at them, and it's just primitively fear the unknown and what's in that darkness. And so if you constantly keep your designs unknown, like it's not a zombie, it's not a vampire, I just don't know what it is. And that's my personal style. And everyone can have their own personal style, but I'm just kind of describing how I go about designing my characters. I always go, what's the furthest away from something that's already predisposed, like, clowns. People always do like clowns and it's kind of, to me, I think it's like a cheap scare because you're going off with it, the character it, and the fear of just clowns in general. People are like, which I sometimes will take a clown and I'll mix it with something very, um, very controversial or disturbing because it is that childlike innocence with that clown. And so that's why I don't go, if I do a clown, I won't go clown with scary teeth and, like it or something that's already been done. I'll go a very innocent looking clown with a dark, maybe the clothing is very different, or an S&M bondage type clown. You just bring in something that clashes, they just don't mix. But mentally they don't mix, but visually it's a complete package. So design is kind of hard to explain because it's based on who you are and where you came from in your personal experience through life and through almost like your passion and your dreams and your vision. What makes you as a person usually are little things, little people you meet, movies you see, television shows, favorite actors, favorite music, and it's all these things that you like and you're into. And it's you, it's unique to you, but it's an embodiment of you through media and through art in general. And so you take from that your specific style and you mix it with other genres like horror or comedy, just depending on whatever genre you're into, music or fashion or art. And so that's how I usually do it. I'll take things that influence me, music and style, and I put it into my work. And so that's how I get into it. And that's why I love like Fear the Unknown, because it's almost like Silent Hill. You've seen some of the characters in Silent Hill. They're very, it's like an Asian horror tone to it, some S&M bondage, and some like have anyone seen Jacob's Ladder? They have a lot of flesh-like eyeless creatures, and eyes are the gateway to the soul. And so when you look at someone's eyes, you kind of see their intentions. They have that. In humanity, you look at people and you look at their eyes, kind of. And that's how we relate. We deal with people. And so you can usually see emotions, if they're happy or sad. But if something doesn't have eyes, like a xenomorph in Aliens, they're eyeless creatures, and all you see is teeth, that just shows that this thing is hungry, it's angry, it's violent, and you can't see its intentions. And that's what's really scary. And that's why a lot of my work, I either do, you go small eyes, big teeth, or no eyes, big teeth, or you do no teeth, no mouth, and eyes. And it's like a psychological thing. And that's the best way I can explain it. That it looks creepy, but why it's creepy is because mentally, your mind, subconsciously, you're looking at it going, okay, I can't see his intentions. Oh, it's his teeth, this thing is hungry, he's going out for the kill. Or this thing has no mouth. It has no voice. It has nothing to say. It just is existing. And I think sometimes that's scary in itself. Something that is so horrifying looking that's not scaring you, it's just existing and living and doing its own thing. And you happen to cross upon that while it was doing something disturbing. Like in the game Silent Hill, there's the character Pyramid Head. The pyramid. He's like throttling a mannequin that's not living. It's just a mannequin laying in the corner, and he's just like shaking it. And it looks very like sexual, even though it's not. You don't know what's happening, but he's not threatening you. You just walk past and happen to see that. And I think that's what's disturbing, because it's not so violent or threatening to you, but in its own world, that's normal. And so that to me is very disturbing, because what type of world is that living in? What are the morals and what is the existence of that character? And so all these things go into play whenever I'm creating a character. It's best to create a backstory. Um, Otherwise, you're just creating something that it's maybe already been, you rehashing a character that's already been designed. Um, and there's no backstory or life. When you put backstory, you create this character